Hello and welcome to the Playsheet Podcast's team breakdowns for the 2021 NFL Draft. Today we're looking at two teams on totally different ends of the spectrum in terms of recent successes, with the Jacksonville Jaguars up first. The Jaguars are the richest team going into this year's draft, with 10 picks in total, including the number one overall pick in the first round. Added to this, the Jags also have the Rams' first round selection at 25th overall. That came from a Jalen Ramsey trade. They have the first pick in the second round, 33rd overall. And they also have the Vikings second round selection at 45th overall. And that came from a trade where they sent Yannick Ngakoue to the Vikings. The Jags have 4 picks in the top 50. Beyond this, they have the 65th overall pick at the top of round 3. They have 2 4th rounders, 2 5th rounders, and a 7th. It's very fair to say that the Jags are absolutely loaded going into this year's draft. Now, as their place in the draft order suggests, the Jaguars were a bad team in 2020. After a surprise win against the Colts in week 1, they ate nothing but L's for the rest of the season. Take a look at the starting lineup that they were trotting out in the last few game weeks, and you'll see that this was a team with gaping holes all over the roster. A rebuild is overdue. Now, with their first pick in the draft, the Jaguars will be taking Trevor Lawrence. That's not a prediction, it's just simply pure fact at this stage. I heard somewhere that they've even gone as far as already given Trevor Lawrence their playbook. So, without the need to speculate any further on this pick, let's quickly have a rundown on Lawrence because we won't be talking about him on any of the other videos. There's already a mythology surrounding Lawrence, from stories of him launching a ball at 55 miles per hour when he was 14 years old, to claims from analysts like Mel Kiper Jr. that he's one of the top 4 prospects of the last 50 years. When you strip it all back, though, Lawrence seems to be a quarterback who excels in every important area while displaying no discernible weakness. He has the accuracy, the elite power, the athleticism, but more importantly, particularly when transitioning to this level, he possesses the football IQ to pick apart coverages and the calmness under center to progress through his reads. To cap things off, the leadership qualities needed to pull teams through championship games, as well as the right work ethic and adjusted attitude to deal with a plethora of hyperbole he has already been inundated with, have been on display from him kind of all through his college career. I genuinely hope he lives up to the billing. Let's move on from quarterback. Staying on the offensive side of the ball, the Jaguars are going to want to look after their superstar in waiting. As we all witnessed with the Bengals last year, there's no point drafting a quarterback with a first pick overall if you're going to hang him out to dry and get destroyed by opposing defenses. Fortunately, the Jags O-line isn't too bad, really. With Cam Robinson playing under the franchise tag now, they seem to have their 5 starters set. This is a perceived deep draft in terms of offensive line talent, so don't be surprised to see the Jags maybe add a little bit of depth, possibly on day 3. Don't expect them to target it too early in this year's draft, though. The same can't be said for tight end, maybe. Now, tight end looks vastly underpowered for the Jags. I mean, Chris Manhertz is a ghost when it comes to the passing game, and James O'Shaughnessy he was average at best before the ACL injury. It's all well and good having as many draft picks as the Jags have, but when there's just simply no talent in the draft pool, there's not really much you can do. The Jaguars also aren't looking for any old tight end, they're looking for one who can catch passes. Now, Pat Freiermuth is touted as the best of the rest, but he lacks the athleticism and ability to kind of create separation that the great kind of tight end pass catchers have. You go past him, Brevin Jordan, he possesses some of those traits, but he's not too clever in the blocking game. Due to this kind of dearth of talent of tight ends in this year's draft, don't be surprised to maybe see the Jaguars trade away a middle round pick to try and accumulate some talent there. Now, I'm not saying for one moment that they'll trade for Zach Ertz, but Zach Ertz, I think, had a 3rd round price tag from the Eagles. So that's the kind of level of starter that you can get from a middle round draft pick trade. with there being no tight ends really who are that exciting in this year's draft, and the Jags really having a need there, maybe it's something that they could do. Now, looking at the wide receiver position, I like the pickup of Marvin Jones Jr. in free agency. When he gets going, he can be devastatingly effective, as any Vikings fan will tell you from last year. With DJ Shark and Laviska Shenault Jr., the team isn't looking too bad on the boundaries. There is, however, a need for an upgrade in the slot. Let's assume that the Jags hit this on day 2. We've discussed slot receiver in depth on some previous videos, and as a reminder, Rondale Moore is moving up many people's draft boards due to his pro day heroics when he put on quite a show. But my view would be that his namesake, Elijah Moore, has the same upside with perhaps less of the injury risk that Rondale Moore comes with. He's projected to go in the middle of round 2, so perhaps that 45th overall pick that the Jags have from the Vikings could come into play there. Let's move on to the other side of the ball. There's been some uncertainty over the scheme that the Jags will be running this season. However, it now appears apparent that they will be switching to a 3-4 base. The Jags have been running a cover 3 scheme over the past few seasons. This looks set for a massive overhaul under new defensive coordinator Joe Cullen. This is going to mean the team has to find a couple of additional linebackers to go with Schobert and Miles Jack, as well as some bigger guys up front on the D-line. I'm not sure if they're in the best position to address this with their 25th overall pick without reaching somewhat. Zavin Collins, who I've mentioned a fair few times now, looks like the ideal fit for the new flexible 3-4 base. Just as a quick reminder, Collins won both the Chuck Bednarik and Bronco Nagurski awards, racking up 4 sacks, 4 interceptions, and 54 tackles last season. I think he fits in perfectly with what Cullen is trying to do here. However, unfortunately, he'll probably be gone by the 25th overall pick. If he is on the board, it's a no-brainer. The Jags should absolutely take him. If he's not, then maybe they look at linebacker on day 2. With that 25th pick instead, the Jags might find that top safety prospect, Trevor Lawrence, falls to them. And all things considered, I think that would be a great close to day 1 for them. I think that the Jags have made some really bad moves for defensive backs in free agency. Now, while there's nothing wrong with players like Shaquille Griffin and Rayshawn Jenkins, they're massively overpaying them. I mean, Griffin is getting close to elite cornerback money, and he just doesn't warrant it. Ditto for Rayshawn Jenkins. These guys are going to be with the team for the next season, probably next 2 seasons. But after that, the team will surely probably be looking to get rid of them on those contracts, or at least restructure them majorly. I'm not sure if the players will be happy to do that. Therefore, it makes sense to start looking at the longer-term prospects in the secondary, and a player like Trevor Lawrence could be perfect for that at the end of round 1. The Jags were a pretty poor team in 2020, but they've got enough draft riches to address a lot of those issues immediately. Free agency has been a mixed bag for the team so far. Generally, decent players have been bought in, but not necessarily for the right money. Don't expect instant results for this team, because as good as he is, Lawrence will still be a rookie quarterback, and the team will be working with a new coach, and they will be working under a new scheme. But if they get things right, then the team could well lay the foundations to compete in the AFC South over the next decade. That's the Jaguars.